All right, rolling. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to be back. It's been busy. We've got a couple of things to talk about to go over today. I don't think me and you have done an episode since finding out that you are with child.
We did one where we knew, but they didn't know.
That's
You
true.
were at that one was very early on, and you had talked about like the infertility and stuff like that, but no one knew yet. They didn't know that we knew.
Now it's out there, though. Now it's out there.
It's a little obvious
Um,
these days.
yeah, we are. Well, we just had our, what was it? 20.
I'm 27 today.
Yeah, what was the last appointment? The 24,
24.
where they do the anatomy scan or whatever.
20.
20, you get to see all the cool
Anatomy
pictures and
But she wasn't cooperating, so we had to do take two at the
mm.
24 week and finalize the anatomy scan.
Yeah, I can see her spine.
Part of her spine, something with the placenta.
She's been there being a little daredevil or something.
Seemed a little dramatic, but we're good. They said she was small, which is interesting. So I don't feel like
Zero
either one of us
intercourse for 4 weeks.
Okay.
That's what happens whenever,
That was the placenta.
yeah. And I try to follow along whenever we're in there. And,
It wasn't just intercourse, for the record. It was pelvic floor rest
mm,
was the terminology. So like no heavy lifting, and then yeah,
no intercourse.
no sexual activity. That is correct.
So, that's just what comes with it. That's part of the gig. They don't notify you of this whenever you sign up. Uh, this is in the small lettering down below that nobody reads. We skip that page,
They talk
but
about the 6 weeks after,
they do mention the 6 weeks after.
but
But
you've got other things to focus on then. There's not really a lot going on right now,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. So, that's always good. It's been pretty low key. You've been, as far as the pregnancy goes, like I guess this being the first time that we're speaking about it. Other than that, it's been kind of low key, just kind of chilling and
Yeah.
staying.
I wouldn't say that that was very high key. It was just kind of an annoyance.
What's that?
The pelvic floor rest, like everything
Oh
else. Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
what
yeah.
you meant? I don't.
Yeah, well, I just mean like we haven't like posted too much about it, and
Oh,
like
no.
this is like our first time. We're now how many
Yeah.
months in, and like this is our first time having an episode about it. So it's just
We
been
haven't really made it our personality, I don't feel like.
yeah, just well, and it's still like the early stages, and it's like you never want to get too far ahead of yourself, and so you're always just kind of trying to. But anyway, so yeah, there's not too much more. I always have a lot of people always asking me like, how's Briley doing? How's Briley feeling? Um, I don't know that what they're getting at, but and I was just talking to neighbor Dan the other day about it. He asked how you been doing, and I said, if it wasn't for her stomach showing, you really wouldn't have any idea that she was even pregnant.
Yep.
You haven't been sick. You haven't been moody. You haven't been like
Yeah, I
nothing's
think I've
really.
been moody.
No.
Because people at work say that I've been moody, but I think it's the circumstances. I think, you
Right.
know, because I also told them, I said, I feel like if I had been moody, I don't think you would have been afraid to tell me that. And you haven't said a word about it. So I don't think it's a me problem.
Yeah, and you haven't really ate anything weird.
No,
No cravings. When is that supposed to happen? What do they
it's
say?
it's already, the more I like see about it though, people say that they like people really hype up the cravings and stuff like
You think
that.
people are just
Like,
doing that for some attention? Is that just a
well,
trend?
like, don't
The
get me wrong.
trendy thing
Like,
to do?
every once in a while, I'm
You
like,
start eating pickles just because
ew,
that's what you're supposed to do.
ew. No, like the smell, I will say that was unexpected. Just like I can smell a pickle across the room, and all of a sudden I think I'm eating
Mm,
it. Like, and I don't
mm.
like a pickle, so that
True.
didn't work out well for me. But overall,
That'd been great
like,
for me. I wish I could sniff me out a good pickle.
yeah, you'd think with this congestion I got going on, I wouldn't be able to smell as much, but
Not true.
we're still smelling everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I feel like every once in a while, it's kind of like an excuse to eat something bad, though. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I could probably knock out a whole box of Lucky Charms.
And
I
no
could
one would
do
say
I
anything,
could do
of
that before I
course.
was pregnant too, but I feel like
Maybe someone would
that's how I
judge.
gained 30 pounds, Now though, you're eating for two. You're good to go. It's what everyone always tells you.
True.
Even if I'm not hungry, like, but you're eating for two, you better go ahead and eat.
You have to eat.
You don't want some sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone always thinks I want something sweet too, and I really not interested. The
Mm.
brownies did get me, I will say that, but like the
Yeah, well,
pie.
they've been sitting up there for a little while. We'd been needing to make those.
Hmm. But yeah, not nothing too crazy. She's moving a little bit more now, so that's kind of cool. But it's kind of boring up until now.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it just kind of remains that way. This
Hmm.
boring until then. That's what everyone says. Everyone says, well, you should just hope it stays boring.
Is that what they're saying to you?
Well, that's just what I hear.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, what else been going on? I know we're gonna kind of get into covering what it was like with the race and get into all that. Is there anything else new that we haven't talked about that's been going on in our lives? I feel like it's just been the normal stuff. um,
Yeah, I feel like we've just been working,
yeah,
house renovations, some schoolwork.
schoolwork. Yeah, so last was it last Saturday? Was it last Saturday? The race? Is that whenever it was?
It was 2 Saturdays ago, I think.
The 2 Saturdays ago now?
You worked last Saturday?
Oh yeah. So 2 Saturdays ago. Um, it's been talked about. I've been sharing about it, the running, this race, running the ultra. So I was gonna kind of go through it and share my experience, what that was like. There was a lot of ups and downs, and like not as low as not as many low places as I was kind of hoping for. So I think that's
Which is a crazy statement.
so yeah. I think that's why um, we'll get into what like the next race hopefully maybe is gonna look like, or kind of what like a next goal would be with that. But yeah, it was super bizarre. I guess we'll just start like at the beginning. So like in case you didn't know, um, 2 Saturdays ago I ran a 50K ultra marathon. So it was like 31.5 miles, or something like that. 31.5. Um, and like I had to say, like it was the terrain. It was not an easy 31.5. It wasn't like running down the road and it was like more than just like trails. I mean, it was like some of the roughest terrain I've probably ever like walked on, ran on anything. Um, but so going back, it all starts right with they say like with a race, it's not the sleep you get the night before because no one sleeps very good the night before. It's the sleep that you get 2 nights before.
Mm.
Well, 2 nights before I had to work,
Mm.
and just like rather I was gonna take off at 3 in the morning, come home and sleep, and then like work out busy.
Did you
Now
not come home that?
I can't. Oh, I didn't. I was at work till 4.
Yeah.
So by the time I got home, it was like 4:45, 4:30 in the morning. Slept till like 9. And we headed. So it's like 9:30.
Yeah, Friday was busy. We had to get up, go run
Yeah.
errands, get everything ready for like I had set up an IV tent down there, like a booth, I guess. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like
we
the
left at
start
like
and finish
10:30 or
line, they had
11.
like vendors and the race people um, for the Shawnee Hills 100. Very kind people.
Mm.
Um, Allowed Briley, yeah, set up the IV tent there and do
The
some
night
IVs.
before and during the race.
Yeah, the packet pickup was like what 4 to 7 or something. So from that time, so we got down there like I don't know what time we got like 2 o'clock.
I think it was closer to 2:45, 3 o'clock by the time we made all of our stops.
And yeah, we get down there, get set up. There's no cell service, and like the whole day before this race, I should be like probably like drinking a shit ton of water, like eating. It was like I didn't eat all day. It was like 4.5 hours of sleep. With like we didn't eat till what like 9 o'clock that
9
night.
o'clock, you weren't even gonna eat. I said, "What do you want to order?" And you said, "I'll just eat some toast." Is what
Yeah,
you said.
and yeah, I tried to drink some water though. I tried to stay hydrated throughout the day, and luckily we had the liquid IVs and the electrolytes. So I tried to stay hydrated throughout the day, um, as best that I could. Which luckily we were just sitting around, so it was pretty chill. But the yeah, so that night we didn't get back.
I gave you an IV that night, though. That was at least a liter.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Um, yeah, I got the IV. We're there till 7,
8
8 o'clock.
o'clock.
Get back to the camper. We stayed at her parents' campsite about 40 minutes away. Didn't get
Pull
to
up the
sleep.
couch.
Didn't get to sleep till like 10:30. Um, Woke up. Gus woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So all in all, it was like 6 hours. I was going on like 10 hours of sleep for like 2 days. Whenever I woke up Saturday morning. But getting into Saturday morning, that's just kind of preface. That's what like leading up to it. The day before, it kind of looked like super busy, but the race day, it was wild. Waking up and like having, it's been like I don't know, waking up and having just like one thing on your mind like that. It's like nothing else for that day mattered at all, and that was like I could tell I was just like I was like nervous. I think that's what
Yeah,
like
you were really quiet.
yeah, I hadn't been nervous like that in a long time. I was like fuck, like woke up, got dressed, and like I had everything. Like I had done all the math. Like I had laid out exact numbers of electrolytes I needed that morning, carbs that I needed before. Everything had to be down. Got all that down. But then we were like running late and I didn't.
Barely, because the night before it said it only took us like 30 minutes to get there, and then
Yeah.
whenever we programmed it into the GPS that morning, it said 55 minutes. So that was putting us there. The race started at 7, and that was putting us there at like 6:45, 6:50. So not late, but not as much time as you wanted to like actually get there and like get comfortable and get
Yeah.
stretched or whatever.
We got loaded up, got out. I foam rolled a little bit and kind of stretched. And then whenever I got there, I think I did like 2 minutes, a couple stretches, and that was it really. Um, yeah, at the beginning though, it was I could tell because I kept checking my watch over and over, and I was watching my heart rate, and I kept looking even before the race, like just standing there, and I was like, I don't know, way too high, like getting close to 100, just standing there, which is I was like, oh shit, like, and I didn't think it was too much caffeine. I had like 300 milligrams of caffeine before.
Yeah, for someone that, how much caffeine would you say you get on a good day? Or like on a regular day? 1,000 milligrams?
Oh no 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 no. These only have 200.
But you drink like 3 of them and then you pound Diet Dr. Peppers too. I mean, you drink a lot of water too, but your
I would say
caffeine,
600.
Your caffeine is like double or triple the intake of a normal person.
Yeah, well, I also have my resting heart rate's in like the 40s. So
I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying other people would be like,
yeah,
yeah, if I drank an
yeah,
energy drink, mine would be in their high 100s or low 100s too. So just for
yeah.
context, like,
No, this is just like knocking the sleepy out of the eyes, just one of those. That's all that's really doing for me. Um, yeah, I drank one of those on the way there, and then I cracked another one. I drank half of it, and I was like, all right, 300 will be good. But well, I just didn't want to get tired. I knew I was gonna be tired, but I didn't want it to be early. And I knew if I could get, I kind of operate in a sense of I knew if I could get myself like mentally to like a certain level, like kind of like revved up to a certain level, I knew I could stay there. You know what I mean? Like I just had to get up there and I had to get fucking going a little bit. So it's like that's why I was like I don't need a lot of caffeine, but if I can just get revved up to the point of like just enough to get me going here, but. Yeah, I got there and you're just, like I was sitting there getting dressed and I had everything on ready to go and then I'm just like thinking of everything in my head. Like I had that list and I was like going over the list in my head. You're thinking about the water, the food, like everything I got. I'm like, am I forgetting anything? And then it's like, well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But so starting the race, it was so the first stretch was what, 5 miles to the first aid station. And the first mile, I don't know, even like I would say that first 5 miles, you're really kind of just working on like separating, creating space from everybody. It's just so clumped up. But through 3 miles, my heart rate was at 170 to 175, which is dangerously high. Like not really, but like if for having to go, gonna be out there for 7 to 8 hours, like not a very good start. And my heart rate had never been that high, especially during training, even. I hadn't had issues with it getting that high. So I was kind of freaking out. So on top of it being high, now I was like mentally starting to freak out. And I think it was raising it even more.
right.
So I was like panicked. And I knew what I really needed to do was stop running and walk for like just probably 2 minutes, and let everything come back down to normal. I knew that's what needed to happen. But like as soon as I took off running, haven't been so long since I've done anything kind of competitive in that sense. It was like I knew immediately I didn't want to just run the race. Like I wanted to race it. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Like I no longer, as soon as we took off, I no longer just wanted to finish.
Well, yeah, like the week before, the night before, I didn't know what it was, but you're like, all right, I don't want to just finish anymore. Like, I want to fucking win it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it was like immediate. I knew, like in the back of my mind, like the devil or whatever this whole time was in this like we're gonna fucking you're gonna push on this. Like I knew I was like I'm not interested in just finishing it because I was like the only way I don't finish this is if like my legs literally like physically break. I'm like there's no way I don't. Even if I
Right.
walk the last 10 miles, there's no way I don't finish unless I die. Like I refuse. And so, but yeah, that's why I was like I'm not interested in just finishing this. Like I want to race. I want to like not just run the 31 miles. Like I want to race it. And so like 3 miles in, I was like, I should stop. But I'm like in the midst of kind of like semi passing through people, like moving along pretty good, but not moving very fast. I was like 12 minutes per mile, 13 minutes per mile, which was fine. And but my heart rate was just through the roof, and I was like gasping, and I knew it, but I can't. Like, if I stop right now, there's like all kinds of people around. There's gonna be. I was like, we're 3 miles in. Like, I can't be stopping. Like, what? Like, what are we doing? And at like mile three and a half, I don't know. I finally just settled in, and I felt like all the weight just like drain off my shoulders. And immediately, I looked down at my watch, and it was like 165, and I was like, oh baby, come on. And I kept just like I was just still not running very fast, and I took like another deep breath, and I felt like air from like my stomach like release, like all of it come out. And I looked down again, and it was like 158, and I was like, oh, thank God. And it came back down. It was like I was like in the high 140s to like 151, 152 at that point, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" I was like, "It's on now," and that's what Brad was laughing about because I came into that first aid station like fired up. I was ready to go, and that was 5 miles in, and yeah, Brad was like, He's like, you were fired up at that first aid station," and I was like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, for the first 3 miles, like I've been fighting for my life. The last mile and a half was like the first, like I finally got comfortable. I was like, this is like the groove I was needing to find. I just didn't think it was gonna take me that long to settle in like that. And then like I don't know, the last mile and a half, last mile was just like a gravel road, and it was just straight, and then it had a hill, and I didn't. I my whole plan was to like walk the uphills, and like a lot of people walked that uphill on the gravel road, and like I didn't walk any of the uphills until probably like 20 miles in, unless it was like insane. But if I could kind of power hike it and jog it, I just jogged it and ran it, and that's like past a lot of people on that gravel road. There's a lot of people that walked it, and I was like, damn, this is like. I told myself I was like, if I'm gonna walk, I was like, it's not gonna be on this gravel road unless like it's an insane incline or something. But so I got to that first aid station, 5 miles in, felt good. Leaving there, the second one was I think 6 miles to Jackson Falls, but there was no crew access, and it was only the the aid station people, and then like another 5 to the third aid station. So it was going to be 11 miles until I saw anyone again. And so I loaded up at that first aid station with my Jackson Falls stuff and everything I would need, had plenty of water. And I left that first aid station and I ran that whole 11 miles and didn't stop. Not one time. And like, it's really crazy because like just now, like just like a couple, it's like the whole thing was like just a complete blur at that point. Like after leaving the first aid station, like that whole run to Jackson Falls was like that whole run was like a blur. And then I remember I got to Jackson Falls and they were all set. That's where they were cooking the bacon.
Mm.
And so at this point, you're like 10, 11 miles in. So you're not like you're just now starting to like really settle in, feel pretty good. And then like out of nowhere, just like this huge whiff of bacon just smacks you in the face out in the middle of these woods. You're like, what in the hell is going on? And you start hearing people scream. And I will say that's one thing that's huge, just like the aid stations and like because probably the worst part of the whole race was like going the sections with just so far without seeing anybody. Like the end of the race. Because in the beginning, you're still kind of seeing people here and there. But like mile 15, like you're not seeing a lot of people. Or I didn't anyway. Like I didn't see a lot of people. And so yeah, the bacon, I was like, what the hell is going on? So I got up to the second aid station and they like came out and they were like trying to stop me and they're like, what do you need? What do you need? And I was like, nothing, I'm good. I was like, which way do I keep going? And they're like, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, where do I go? And they just like pointed that way. And I was like, all right. And I just took off. And they just like, everyone like got quiet and they were like, listening. They're like, what do you need? What do you need? And I was like, nothing. I was like, which way do I go? And he pointed and he was like, go that way. I started running, then immediately they all just like right back to cheering, and the music was back up. It was just like something out of like a sitcom, It was like just a combat TV show. It was kind of funny, but so left there. Then it was like just another 5 miles to that third one, and yeah, there was like zero water through Jackson Falls through all of that. There was no water at all. It was like I didn't even
Dry.
yeah, I didn't even realize that we had went through it until like afterward. I was like, oh shit, that's what that was supposed to be. But there was no water moving, so I was kind of glad I didn't really feel like the train was already rough enough. I didn't want to be fucking
Slipping and sliding.
yeah
Feel like it would have been worse on your feet too.
yeah. So yeah, I left there. little 5 mile jog to the third aid station. Um, Coming up on the third aid station, that's where I caught up. That's where I ran into those 100 milers. That dude from Newburgh, I passed him, and then, or like he was coming out of the third aid station, I was going in, and at this point, my stomach has started to rumble. Coming into the third aid station, started to rumble a little bit, and I'm eating, like a gel and a waffle every 40 minutes. That was my schedule I set. Starting the race, it was supposed to be. I hadn't really decided yet. I should have already had decided, but I knew it was either going to be somewhere between 30 to 50 minutes. But 30 minutes, I was like, I think it's too early. I think it's too soon. And then 50 minutes, I was like, but I'm afraid that's too long. So I was like, let's go with 40. And I can't go like 45, 35 because once I get later in here, like I won't be able to. I'll be like, what the fuck is 35 plus 35? I'll never be able to get to the net. You know what I mean? So I was like, let's go with 40. And then I kind of just played it by ear. Whenever I got 30 minutes in, I was like, how do I feel? And I was like, not too bad. I got to 40 minutes and I was like kind of a little hungry. So every 40 minutes, that's what I'm having, a gel and a waffle. So I've went through quite a few at this point. And coming into the third aid station, it was rumbling. I was like, I debated, do I go to the bathroom? But still, I'm having the devil inside me is like, we're racing. Like, you're not stopping unless you like have to. We're not stopping. We got to get back out there. And I should have just stopped at the third aid station.
I think this is the aid station that Brad said, like, you're looking a little rough at this one. Or was it the next one?
No, the next one.
Okay.
So because everything transpires after this next, and coming into the fourth one, and yeah, the fourth one was interesting. Everything. So at this point, everything was good. I felt really good. Everything was great. At the third aid station, the only thing I was wanting was some Zins. I was just wanting some nicotine bad at the third aid station. And other than that, though, I was solid. And so after the third aid station, though, it was 8 miles, 8.5. I would almost damn near say 9. We'll say 8.5. It's supposed to be 8. 8.5. To the fourth one, the longest stretch, the worst stretch. It was absolute hell, terrible. And leaving that third aid station, I knew I should have got my handheld water, and then I should have grabbed one more, and then had my big 2-liter bag on because I knew it was the longest stretch without being able to fill up with water again. And I knew that, but I was just like, want to keep moving. So I didn't get the handheld thing. I told Brad to grab the wrong bladder. I was like, grab those, like, just put the blue one in here. And I knew the blue one was smaller, but I like felt good, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine though. Like I didn't feel like I was going through that much water. I was like, I'll be fine. So I just went with the blue one, no handheld, no extra water, just some food. Took off, and probably, I don't know, 2 miles in, at my left hamstring is also cramping up at this point. It's starting to cramp up. And at this point, the stomach is rumbling. I'm not doing well. Like, sometimes I had to like stop and walk a couple times. I was like, oh man. I was like, I didn't know if I was gonna shit right there on the trail. I didn't know. But I also didn't have anything to wipe with. And I was like, oh my God. So it got to this point. It got to the point where I'm scoping out leaves, branches as I walk by them. If they look good enough that I could wipe with, I rip them off as I'm running by. Rip off another one. I run a little bit, I see another rip off. I get about 4 of them, 4 in my hand, 4 solid. I'm like, I could probably make it happen with 4. And then it was like God himself or someone I had forgot at the very beginning I had my white headband, and I didn't start with it on. I never put it on, and I just tied it around my bag and took it with me just in case I needed it. And about that time, as I'm running, I felt something hit me in the elbow, and I looked down, and it was that white bandana hit me in the arm, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It just looked like a nice piece of toilet paper. Is all it looked like, and I just immediately I threw the sticks down, and I was like, "That was the sign right there. This is it." So I just looked around and wandered off the trail and did the pop and squat and did what I had to do, and that bandana belongs to the Shawnee Forest now. I apologize for the littering of that bandana. I'll take responsibility for that. But I made a decision, and that was the outcome of the decision. Um, and I was not chafing until after that. After I had wiped and all that, and I don't know if like it dried me up, and then I was running, and then it wasn't even like a mile later, I'm
Mm,
starting to feel like a little burning going on.
mm.
I'm like, oh my
That's a
god,
tough spot too.
yeah.
Someone with thick thighs, I feel you on the chafing.
So, and I had passed this one guy before the third aid station. Left the third aid station as he was coming in. Well, as I am off the trail doing my business, I look up, he runs by. There he goes. And now I'm like, fuck. Now, because I'm just like, no way, this guy just passed me. So now I'm like, I'm back running. I'm trying to make up ground, and I can see him in front of me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get him. And, but I'm chafing, and it's not feeling good. And, um, that was also, so I'd say 4 miles in to this 8 mile stretch, I realized that I am severely low on water. I was like, oh no, like this is not good. Like I still have a long ways to go until I see anybody again. And so I was preserving all the water I could. I probably went 2 miles without drinking anything at all. It was just like trying to make it last. And then out of nowhere, up there somewhere, I don't know, the top of one of those hills, there's two guys up there luckily that had some food trucks up there and had like coolers and waters and body armors and stuff. And those those guys being there probably saved me, honestly. Probably saved the whole day being there because I snagged a water from him and a body armor from him um and then it was also that same stretch where I ran into that log that I swore as I was running, there was a log that was running like parallel with the trail, and the sun was hitting it like this, making it look like there was a beam of light that was running all the way down this log. And just like in my just dazed and kind of confusedness, it looked like a skunk from the angle I was at. It looked like a white stripe running down the animal. I thought it was a skunk, and I was like, "Fuck!" And they'd warned us about like rattlesnakes and what else was there? Something else.
They're talking about the horseflies and stuff like that too. Just in general, all the animals in general.
Yeah, which I never saw any snakes.
You're like the only one that didn't. Everyone was talking about, especially like the half marathoners. They like all of them saw snakes everywhere. One girl
Hmm.
actually fell because she was running away from the snake.
Really?
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
No, I didn't. I don't think Gilpin saw any either. I didn't hear him say anything about any snakes. I don't know. Well, I'll have to ask him about that. But I never saw any snakes, or if I did, I was just too just completely zoned out. Cause it's so I'll get into that in a minute. But so yeah, I have this stare down with this log for probably I don't know real time, probably 3 minutes.
That's still a long time to stare at the log, though.
Yeah, because I was just like I didn't know what to do. I was like at this I'm like low on fluids. It's heating up. I'm I don't know, coming up on 20 miles, which like I was used to running. 20 miles, but not on terrain like that. Not with hills and the climbs and the all of this shit. I was not prepared for it. I wasn't. And so at this point, yeah, I had to stare down with this log. I'm like, I clapped my hands at it. Like at the end, I was like, I don't know. I was like, surely if I make a noise or clap, and I was like, but I didn't want to yell. I was like, there's part of me that was like, it wouldn't let me like yell or make a noise. I was like, because I was like, maybe it's not. And then so like, there was like part of like my voice, I couldn't yell at it. I couldn't bring myself to do that. But I was like, if I clap, I was like, surely it'll like, I'll get a head move, I'll get something right. And I clap and nothing happens. And I keep walking a little closer. And literally as I get closer up on it, I realize it's a log. And I just stop and I turned around and looked behind me and there was nobody there. And I just turned around and looked forward. And I just remember, I just kind of looked around and was like, what is going on? And I just took off again. Um, but yeah, it was not like, I was it was never like full blown like hallucinations, but it was just like stuff like that, you would just like kind of mistake stuff, or like I would come around and there'd be like a bush like right down like below, and it would just like fuck. Like, you would just see something like just like dark and like small like down below as you'd come around, and you're just like everything scared you. Like by the end, everything you're just like jumping at everything. I was thinking I kept hearing like people running behind me, and like I would turn around, there's nobody there. I thought I was like hearing like footsteps behind me, and there's nothing. And you're like, Jesus. Um, yeah. So all of that happened through those 8 miles, and coming into the fourth aid station, that's where I looked like shit. I knew I was not doing well, and that was the first time I think I'd re-upped on some caffeine. Um, and then Rachel filled up that another bandana with ice.
Mm.
And coming into the fourth, and at that time I hadn't told anyone like what had just happened, that I had to take a shit on this trail. I couldn't tell them. I was like, I can't. And like,
Meanwhile, that was the first thing you said when you crossed the finish line to me.
well, I just knew, and also your dad was there too, and I knew. I was like, if I say something right now, I was like, I'm not gonna hear the, like, I just couldn't. I was like, I'm gonna get ate alive right now if I fucking tell these people that I said the shit on this trail. Like, I just couldn't handle it. I was like, it was, it was, that was just not. I mean, I did what I had to do, but um, so yeah, so she tied that. Rachel took that bandana and filled it up with ice, and then we tied it around my neck. I sort of like laid on my back and melted down my back. Well, that was great until it got my whole back of my shirt wet and cold, which is nice, nice. Well, the water ends up running down my backside,
Mm-hmm.
down my crack, all the way down to where I'd been chafing, and now my insides are on
Burning.
fire,
Yeah.
lighting me up. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was so bad, but the water was it felt so good. I didn't know I was so conflicted. I ran in pain forever. I was like, and then finally I took it off and I just like wrapped it around my hand and kept like wiping my face with it. But yeah, that was, got some Oreos in there at the fourth aid station. That was nice. Some Oreos, and then the fifth aid station, I'm trying to think anything else kind of crazy happened. It was just that 8 mile stretch there in the middle was the worst. That 4 mile section after the fourth aid station wasn't bad, but then the 3 miles at the very end, that's literally completely uphill, the whole thing, until like the last half mile. But yeah, that, ended up being a 7 hour and 30 minute finish. I think it was like 14 minutes per mile. Um, you know, it wasn't really about racing it or trying to win it or whatever, um, the, uh, the experience in itself was crazy. It was, like I said, I never got to like the full blown hallucinations, and I never really got to that point where I was like, I never had any like thoughts of quitting, or like thoughts where I couldn't finish it. And part of me kind of wanted to be closer to that. Like,
Really?
yeah. I wanted to dance a little closer with the.
Well, they were like sending pictures of the aid stations, and like the first two, you were like smiling in, and I was like, he's fucking manic right now. I was like, I literally said, I guarantee it, he will cross the finish line and say, I wish I would have done like the 100K, or like, I wish I would have, like gone further or whatever. It's not what you said when you finished the cross or when you crossed the finish line, but that's already what you're talking about now. So
Yeah, yeah. I think next plan is we'll see. Hopefully, possibly November 1st, sending the 50 miler in Franklin. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to push another one. Um, yeah, and eventually get to the point of running 100 mile or something. But the that Shawnee Hills trail was pretty gnarly. Even like running it now, like because the we spoke with the race lady about going back next year and being able to run it again next year, and I would be down for it, I think. But like I think I would just do the 50 again. I think I'd
the
just
running at night is like that.
yeah, they're
I don't
adding
want to
in
be out there at night. Like,
yeah, they're adding in that night 50K.
yeah, but the 100K you have to run. I mean, most of those people were out there through the night
Yeah, I'm
too.
like the 100 mile. And
Uh-huh.
next year they announced they're adding a
Yeah.
nighttime 50K. I
Which like sounds cool, but also just
I think I would be scared.
uh-huh.
Like I don't know. Uh, it's been like growing up even in the woods is I don't know is was one thing, but like being out there for that long, and especially whenever you're like I don't know, like 25 miles in, and it's just like I said, you like kind of think you're hearing stuff you haven't saw anyone in forever, and it's like you have no idea where you're at. You're just like you think you're still following the same trail, and then you come across a marker every now and then, and you've probably been seeing markers the whole time, but you just haven't been paying attention.
That's what like even the pictures, I was like, I just feel like I would get lost out there. Like,
It was marked pretty good. It I don't think I had one section that threw me out. It was one of those sections where it had flags on each side. The flags were supposed to be on your right the whole time, and there was just like a section in the middle where you cross through like the figure eight in the center. And so I thought that section in the center was not going to be very long. That section in the middle ended up being like a mile, like in the middle, like where you cross. So there's flags on each side, and the second time coming back through, I think was like right in the midst of like that 8 mile, and I was just like, I realized that I had been running through like double sided flags forever, and I was like, what is going on? But other than that, yeah, it was marked pretty good. It would have been like,
I still heard a couple of people say that they made a wrong turn or whatever.
yeah,
And like that would just piss me right off. I'm already running that much, and now I've got to run.
it would have
Plus, she went like a half a mile the wrong way. Like,
it would have been tough at night. Some of like one of the like the riverbed crossings um would have been tough because you just like you're on one side and it's just like an empty riverbed, but you're just like up on one side of the woods and you come down and then there's like just a riverbed. There's no markings and the markings pick back up on the other side. So that at night you would probably be trying to like look across the riverbed and like find where at across. So that might be tough, especially coming back. Um, yeah, that would be that would be a tough course at night. It really would. It was pretty technical. And that 8 mile span, that was like I think I rolled my ankle like 3 times in that 8 mile span. Not like too severe, but just like wrong step, tweak, and another like mile and a half later, tweak it again, another mile and a half. And that was probably where I took the most beating on my feet, my legs, was that stretch.
there was a lot of people who came in limping, like
Yeah.
tweaked their ankles or, yeah, twisted a knee or.
Mm. So, yeah, I don't think I would. Like I said, I think if I did it again, I would do the 50K again. I don't think I'd want to run it twice. and I don't think I'd be interested in being out there at night. But yeah, so that's the that's the recap. Now we're chilling, figuring out, kind of waiting on Gilpin and seeing. Hopefully, I would like to. If I waited until next year to do the 50 miler, then I would like to run in two more 50Ks this year. Or if I just did the 50 miler, I'd be good with just doing that one. So, um, I don't know. I'm still interested in like running the 50Ks, doing all that, but part of me also like just wants I want to like hit the limit, you know,
Mm.
or at least find out where it's at. So, we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah. Anything else? You
Anything near as exciting?
yeah, that's pretty much it that's been going on. You like you said you got to set up a little booth
Hmm.
during the race, so that was fun. The trail running, it's a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a nice day.
Yeah.
Had a little food truck there, and it was very
Mm-hmm.
chill. Music going the whole time, and only only negative we couldn't have the dogs,
Yeah.
which
Which
was
was
a
crazy.
last minute surprise. We're literally pulling into this place, and there's a sign that says no pets.
Yeah. What kind of state park doesn't allow you to have dogs?
Well, I don't think it was the park. I think it was the camp itself.
Yeah, but
But
then it's like, yeah, but isn't this like state land? Like, I thought this like, what is this? What are we doing?
I don't know. But that was messy,
And it's like you can ride horses through here, but like you can't have dogs.
right? And we weren't the only ones with dogs there either.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it was.
a lot of people got kicked out.
Yeah, it was definitely a new experience for sure. You know, it's just like I said. There's like that one moment I was probably like mile like 26 or 27, and just like got super emotional running, and I don't know. There's just like a feeling, that like whenever, because like I never had doubt that I was gonna do it, but then once you're like kind of deep in and you realize that like, oh, like the end's like pretty near. You're like, oh, I got this in the back. Especially once I got down to like 8 miles left, I was like, oh yeah, this is like 8 miles. It's like an easy jog. I got it. So that was like just a lot of like feeling of emotion of just like kind of like being proud of yourself or whatever you want to call it. So it's like, especially running like those trails, it's like a different. I would recommend to anyone looking for something to get into. Like running trails is a pretty good time. I'm not one on, I'm not like super interested in like running road marathons and like trying to be the fastest guy out there. But like,
Yeah, but like the suspension bridge, like that looked cool, and I don't know what else there was, but there was like a couple things I was like, wow, that looks fun. Meanwhile, no one was even letting me go up and down the stairs at the camp, so I don't know.
yeah, lots of scenes, and yeah, it's definitely not as boring as like whenever you're just running on the road and it's like just one foot after another, and whenever you're out in the woods and there's cliffs and like lakes, and I think there's like a big lake or pond out there that you like ran around. At the end, you like come off the like atop of one of the hills, and like you can see like through the trees down at the bottom of the hill. There's like a huge pond, and you can like see the trail. You're like winding around it. So it is like sometimes you got to get creative. That's what I was telling you the other day. Sometimes you gotta like whenever it's really getting tough out there and you're really finding yourself in the trenches, you just gotta imagine you're like in a movie, or like I said, you have to like pretend you're in like the movie Twilight,
Mm.
Who would you pick? Would you pick if you're running through the woods like they did in the movies Twilight? Would you want to be a wolf or a vampire?
Well, like the vampires weren't even really running, you know? The wolves, they were like, the vampires were like teleporting almost.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
them.
That seems easier to me. Yeah. Um, but yeah, there is just parts where you just like you have to like make shit up in your head to like you just get so bored out there and like music's not cutting it and then your mind just wanders and next thing you know you're just like the main actor in some fictional movie. You're sprinting through the woods. And you've got this crazy fear that something's chasing you, and there's nothing there, and you realize you've been running from nothing for like 2 miles now, and you come back to reality. Um, but yeah, so yeah, so stay tuned. We'll see what's next, what adventure lies ahead. We're gonna go bigger and better, trying to, I'm starting to become quite addicted to the whole running thing.
You being addicted to something?
Yeah, yeah, they said it's like I saw this thing talking about like people that have dealt with like substance abuse issues or like mental health stuff or whatever tend to be attracted to endurance type sports because um they're they're not new to suffering
Mm.
or like they're familiar with suffering or like they or they do well in suffering, so it yeah, I think there's definitely some sort of connection to be made there between someone that's maybe a little mentally unstable and then they also like find joy and relief in like going and running 30 miles or 50 or 100 miles or whatever the case is. um yeah, it's a weird because like because that point where it's like your athletic ability doesn't even matter, like it's like the training kind of that like there comes a certain point where the training almost just kind of went out the window and it's just like muscle memory. And you're like, there was like a couple times looking down where I was just like, I don't even know how my legs are moving right now. It's like they just know that like that's what's supposed to be happening, so they're just doing it. It's like my head though, that my upper half of me, it was just like along for the ride. Like it was just, I was like I didn't know where we were going. It was like my legs just knew it was supposed to be taking me somewhere. So um, yeah, cool stuff. Um,
Maybe I'll get into like pickleball or something instead. Different hobby.
we can get into some pickleball. Is that what you want to do in your spare time?
I don't know that I'm mentally tough enough first.
Yeah, a little less mentally draining, huh?
Goal one. Get this child out of me.
Get the child
Then
out.
we'll reconvene.
So, all right, guys. Well, yeah, stay tuned. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, we're I received a lot of support over the whole time training, and I, received a lot of nice comments and stuff on all the posts like about the race, and just a lot of overall support that doesn't go unnoticed, and we see it, and we see that stuff when we read it. We really appreciate it, and yeah, just two young kids out here on a journey trying to make it,
Yeah.
pushing the limits.
It's weird because you called someone almost my age old the other day, a few weeks ago.
Well, that's probably just a bad play on words. So, all right, until next time, hopefully next time we'll have another goal in mind and we'll set out and we'll crush that one together too and just keep the momentum rolling.
Next time we're going through the birth plan.
And we're out of here.